If I lost everything today, I had no brand, I had no money. Here's exactly how I build $1 million gym from scratch. And no, it does not begin with your equipment or your logo. It starts with one thing that 99% of gym owners miss, and it's the difference between being stuck at 10K a month or hitting 80K months inside of your gym. Inside of this video, I'm going to break down the exact 5 steps that you need in order to build a 7-figure gym. First, we're going to design the business model that actually prints profit, not stress. Second, we're going to build a member acquisition system that doesn't rely on you becoming an influencer. Next, I'll show you how to deliver such a premium experience that members never leave. And then we'll scale the team so that you can step out of the day to day. And finally, I'll show you how to turn one location into multiple locations if that's what you desire. But also, you don't have to do that. Now, I learned all these the hard way and then refined them just in my own gyms and how I went from 0 locations to 8 locations, from a basement to over 350K per month, over 4 million per year out of my gyms, but also through the hundreds of gym owners that we've helped inside of Gym Academy. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to design the $1 million offer. Yes, this is going to be kind of the foundation of my model that I have, and your model should have leverage, but that's another video. So you got to remember, you are selling the invisible. A little lesson I learned like in my gyms is I would sell somebody into my offer, and then immediately I would sell them into supplements, and it was a much easier sell because they could feel it, they could touch it, they could actually taste it. But you want to sell people not your workouts, but transformations. Even if you are not a transformation based gym, you are still selling a transformation. You're selling an outcome. You're taking somebody from point A to point B. And when you start selling just the workouts, this is where your margins die. The foundation of a 7-figure gym isn't really how many people that you sign up. Like, we have 7-figure gyms that are large group models, which are selling $150 a month memberships. And we have 7-figure gyms that are small group that are selling $450 a month memberships. 100% both of them work, but why they're able to actually grow and get those clients is because they're selling the outcomes. They're not selling the actual features. So the best gyms are going to sell transformations. And that is the difference between you being able to sell a $99 membership or a $3,000 program. So how are you actually going to do this? You want to position your business as like a coaching, as a transformation, as an outcome-based business that has the gym attached. Something I always say is like, your clients, they don't actually know the difference between good workouts and bad workouts. Like, you do. So hopefully you are absolutely amazing, but they don't really know the difference of like a semi-private gym or a large group gym, or just like a class-based gym that has an instructor in the front and they're just on bikes or something like that, and like a boot camp gym, and like nobody knows how, like, what format. It's like, the reality is, and while people are getting smarter and smarter, like, they're not an expertise in that field. They just know where they want to go. They just know the outcome that they want to have. So you want to make sure that you're building a transformational based offer that incorporates at least the exercise. So like the coaching, or at least exercise. Then you want to have additional coaching on top of, whether it be nutrition or accountability or hormones or whatever it is, wellness that you also have. But it's not just one thing. It's not just the workouts. And a mistake that so many people is, they look at like, what are the gyms around me? What are they charging? As opposed to looking at like what needs to be done in order to be profitable, and understanding that people will pay whatever it is for the outcome in which you promise them, if you can actually help them get there, because they've been dealing with this for a long period of time. They want it to be done. When I first launched my gyms, this was back in 2012 is when I opened my first location. I was charging people 5 times as much as my competitors were for somebody to get started. And we had too much demand. We could not keep up. If you think about it, your offer, that's going to be the car, vehicle, so to speak. The gas is the attention you're going to be able to get. And I'm going to show you how to actually put gas in your car. And when you're done right with what I'm about to share with you, this is going to allow you to scale faster than anything else you could possibly do. So the second step in building $1 million gym is making sure that you actually have an acquisition engine that is built on the foundation of paid ads, because you cannot rely on referrals or hope that it's just going to work out because you built something that's pretty cool. Predictable growth comes from controllable lead flow, and that means paid advertising done strategically. It is the lifeblood of your business, having these new opportunities. Because if I do not have leads, I cannot have appointments. If I do not have appointments, I do not have anybody to be able to sell a membership or a program in my gym. And if you don't have that, how can you actually predict where you're going to be? You're just going to guess, and you're just going to hope that it actually works out. So what you want to use is what we call the flywheel attraction system. It is foundationally built on side of paid ads. But the key here is it's not just any sort of ads. I actually want to hit every level of awareness in the market with what I'm running in paid traffic. So this really means, just on a high level, I want to use like top of funnel content, middle of funnel content, and bottom of funnel content in my paid ad strategy, because most people just go bottom of funnel. And when I'm only speaking to like one segment of the market that everybody else is doing, not even talking about if my stuff's going to be different, but just even speaking there, is you're going after the same exact small pocket of people in your market that every other gym is going for, or like a red ocean. When I tap into every level of awareness in my market in my paid ads, and I'm able to speak to them in different ways than my competition is, that's when I'm able to go into the blue ocean where there is less competition. And as a result, I'm able to start attracting clients that nobody's actually trying to get, and I can scale faster. And the cool thing is, when this is done right, it is now a profit center in your business. And this is how I was able to open up 8 locations and either be profitable or break even by day one, even though at the time I was only doing pre-sales for like 30 to 60 days. That's how fast I was able to fill my gym up because of this, and because it wasn't costing me that much in order to actually do this. When you know how to do this properly, marketing is never an expense. Like a cool example is this: is we had a client spend only $1,200 on ads, and they were able to generate over 18 grand in upfront revenue, where clients, 70% of those people that he signed up stay with him for over 10 months as well. And just so you know, boosting a random post or just doing some like cheap challenge ads in like Facebook, that is not what I'm talking about here. Instead, we want to have a campaign that is unique to your business, that is speaking to your ideal client, and that allows you to separate yourself from every other gym around you. And once those ads start bringing in leads, your next bottleneck, it's no longer traffic, it's going to be retention. Now, you can be profitable in the front end, but real profitable in building a 7-figure gym is not just from new signups. It comes from them actually staying with your gym long term. The thing that we always tell our clients is we want you to wake up and know that you're doing 40, 60, 80 grand a month, even if you do not sign up another client. So in order to do that, the third thing that you need to have in place in your gym is solid retention systems. Because at the end of the day, you don't just scale through the front end unless you want to have to restart every single month. And that's also going to be difficult unless you're selling very high ticket to hit $1 million gym, if you're literally having to resell that every single month. But you will actually scale your business through retention, and it's a lot safer. And if you ever want to sell, a more sellable asset. Now, if you think about it, if you have 200 members that are paying like a little over $400 a month, and like, just for context, like 400 to 450 is the average client value on a monthly basis, you have a 7-figure gym. And if you're in a town of 5,000 people, which is small as shit, like you only need 200 of them to have a 7-figure gym from running a small group. I have 100,000 people around me in my radius of what people are willing to travel. That's how simple it is to build a 7-figure gym when my pricing is set up properly. And if I'm running a large group thing, usually it's just like double the members. And again, same principle applies. And there's always an inverse relationship of how easy it is, like how many more new clients you can sign up based on your pricing. But at the end of the day, the retention systems, like, while you're going to be able to attract new clients to your business, it's a lot easier and safer than if you're constantly churning and burning through the same 20 new members every single month. So if I want to make sure that I'm able to keep it, one of the big keys in your retention system, outside of just actually having a really good product, by the way, is making sure you have a 90-day onboarding framework set up. So when a new member comes in, they're immediately met in either in a one-on-one onboarding meeting or in a group onboarding meeting. We then also have normal like wins tracking, milestone tracking, community events put in place. So inside the onboarding is so important, because once somebody signs up, they're super excited. They're immediately going to go through probably some level of buyer's remorse. So they're going to be afraid, like, man, like, is this time going to be actually different? So that first experience that you're able to give them lets them understand how your business does business. So I do not want to screw it up, and I want to set them up for success in the long term. So I want to make sure that I dial them in on the onboarding. And then generally speaking, newer clients are going to need a little bit more hand holding. And this doesn't mean I got to meet with them for an hour outside of my sessions. Like, your sessions and like how great what you're delivering is going to really make sure that keeps coming back. But it can be as simple as like once a week, 5 minutes, you're just checking in on them as they come early or after their session to make sure that they're on track. Then you also want to be ahead of, where they're going to go. So any issues or concerns coming in, you're also communicating that prior. And then you should have member milestones at like day 30, day 60, day 90 minimum A big thing that I don't see enough gym owners doing is if I really want to create great retention that's more leverage, is I want to have a killer community. And I can actually manufacture that community and build that intentionally through a couple different ways. One, you can have community events. Another really simple one is you can have a group, whether it's on Facebook or somewhere else, where all of your members go in and you, your team, and your clients are active in there on a daily basis. So they go in there because you think about it, they're at your gym like 1 hour, 3 times a week. There's 24 hours in a day. There's 7 days a week. So most of the time they're not there. I want to keep them indoctrinated into my business and constantly getting updates and seeing the success of other people and everything going on so they feel part of it, because that's what's really going to keep them in the long term. And when you can really, really dial in just even the onboarding, and then you can bolt on the additional kind of retention methods on top of there, like the average gym, which might have a 10% churn, which is 10 months that a client stays with you, or, a lot of gyms are actually higher than that. But what we want to see is I get clients to stay with me for 18 months, 24 months, 36 months when I properly dial in my retention systems. And the cool thing is, once members are actually staying, the systems are working, your next bottleneck is not going to be more growth. It's actually going to be you. So if you're still the one doing everything, coaching, selling, managing, all that stuff, like, you are going to be the ceiling in which your business can do. And it is going to be extremely difficult to build $1 million gym if you're literally in everything day to day. So the fourth thing that you need to do is you need to build a team that scales, because you cannot hit $1 million gym alone. And now the problem is most gym owners, they hire wrong. The goal isn't to build a gym that needs you, it's to build one that runs because of your systems. Interestingly, as I continue to scale my gyms, I actually was needed less and less and less. When I had 8 gyms, I had all my franchises, I pretty much had an hour mandatory of work that I needed to do. I'm not saying that there wasn't like fires and shit that would come up and I wasn't doing other stuff, but I knew that like the first thing I had about an hour of stuff that I needed to do that only I could do. And then I was able to kind of like get into it, because I know sometimes my day would go wild, or I was just done for the day and I didn't need to do anything. You want to have a great team that's all like a bunch of A players. So something that we did build out is called a gym operating system that makes it really, really simple to understand exactly who to hire, when to hire, what they should be doing. But on a simple level, you want to hire for their character, hire for their personality. You can then train them for the skill. Plus, honestly, even in my gyms, the less experience they had, like the less they were corrupted. So I didn't have to retrain them on a bunch of bad habits. So a lot of actually my best team members came internally from my system that were all about my model and my brand. And then we just really trained them up. On top of that, you want to get really clear on your roles, the responsibilities, and the results inside of that role, so they know exactly what they need to do and they know how they can have success. And you can then build on top of this really clear SOPs. But if I want to have a team that scales, I want to have a full-time model that has full-time employees. So I have full-time coaches, not people that just come in, clock, and just train and leave. But there's other responsibilities where they can actually like have a full-time job, 40 hours a week, with a salary that they can live abundantly on. But now I can actually build a career. And then if I'm building $1 million gym, I am also going to have somebody that's going to be like a sales manager or a manager, but they're going to run the business as a business owner. They're going to be tied into the P&Ls. They're going to understand exactly what it is. They're going to understand exactly how to scale that business on top of it. But ultimately, like, that manager could be essentially the replacement of you. Like, this is how you can totally get out of there. So the reality is, like, we have clients right now. Like, we have a client, he has a gym that's doing between 80 to 90 grand a month, runs without ads. That location has 3 full-time employees. That's it. When you realize that the 2 biggest expenses that you get in your gym are going to be your rent and your payroll, I can actually pay less people more than the normal average and get significantly more output out of them for the business and have much more margins that becomes much safer for the business. Now, at this point, your gym is running like a machine. You have 2 options. You can really try and refine and scale like out of one location, or you can go multiple locations. Now, doing one location versus multiple locations is actually going to be different. But I can, add a little bit more complexity to single location. And for a lot of gym owners, like, it just makes sense to run one gym that absolutely murders it with phenomenal margin, but like that's it, versus a scalable, like, multi-location model. Because there's some stuff I want to do. Now, the 5th way would then just be multiply. Okay, it's like, do I multiply? Do I add additional services, maybe higher end offerings inside of my single location? Or do I go and say, hey, I'm going to open up another location? and then another location. Because reality is you don't want to have two, you want to have at least three or more to make the multi-location make sense. But it needs to be a simpler model that's really easy to do in any market. I'm going to do another video that's going to break down exactly how you can open up as many locations as you want. But for today, that's everything that you need. These are the 5 steps that you need in order to build a $1 million gym. So it looks like this. Here's your roadmap. Number 1, you have to have a strong, compelling outcome-based offer that really is rooted in the transformation that you're going to help your ideal clients get. Number 2, you need to have a lead engine that's built on paid ads. Good luck scaling anything without luck to actually guarantee that you're going to get. Number 3, you got to lock in your retention system so you have a proper onboarding cadence or onboarding systems for new clients so that they do not churn out and instead start referring a ton of people. You want to make sure you have an amazing team that are all in and they have careers, not just jobs. And then you want to be able to scale and replicate. Now, if you want to go deeper on any of those, we'll have either videos right now up on the channel or we'll have future videos that break down each one. Then go ahead, like this video, subscribe to this video, because every single week we're bringing new strategies on how you can scale your gym or studio.